25 season. I just say, really proud of this team, really proud of what we accomplished, really proud of what we've done organizationally. A lot of work that's gone into this. A lot of people are involved in that process. But, we've had the best 3-year stretch in the history of the franchise. I mean, certainly we don't take that lightly. We understand there's still some work in front of us, and that's a challenge that lies ahead. The reality is, the more we're playing games in January, that's where we want to be. You like to be playing a few more games in January and February, and ultimately, that's the goal. That's what we're all striving for in this league. And ultimately, we feel like we're more than capable of being able to do that. Now we're kind of flipping the page here a little bit and focus on the 26 team building and that process. It'll be very fluid, as you all know. There's a lot of different things that take place. But I think it's important for everybody, and D'Amico mentioned it the other day, just I think from where we started, the resolve, the leadership that he displayed, I think this franchise in this city is lucky to have the head coach that we have. I wouldn't want to work with any other coach, be a partner in what we're doing. He makes me better. I probably don't make him better, but I think we've got a great relationship. We have a lot of respect for one another. We have a lot of the same philosophical beliefs in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. And we understand there's work to be done, and that's what kind of this offseason is about, is kind of looking at everything that we're doing, figuring out ways to something we can improve, whether it's individually, whether it's collectively, whether it's schematically, whether it's personnel-wise. But what the players accomplished this season, some of it historical relative to the franchise, historical relative to the league. What were we, the second team in the history of the NFL to start 0-3 and make the divisional round? That says a lot right there. Now, it doesn't mean that we're satisfied with being there. We know there's more work in front of us. But, I think we're all proud. I'm certainly proud to be associated with this organization. And, we got a great program. We're proud of our program. I said this before the season started. When we met in the 10th there in August, we felt we had a good team. We had a good team. We have a good team. We got a lot of good players coming back. Excited about what's in front of us, and excited to get started on 2026. Just a couple injury things, just because I'm sure I'll be asked about them, and I think D'Amico got asked about it yesterday. So as it pertains to Joe, here's what I would say. It was a very unique situation. I don't think anybody really had any clarity, honestly, from the start of the year until now. I'd say Joe worked very, very hard to try to get himself ready to play football. It just never manifested itself and came to fruition. So probably have an opportunity to kind of see where he is in the offseason relative to next year. But, again, it was as unique a situation and injury as I've been associated with. And it's just, I don't want to call it a freak thing, but it's just kind of a freak thing. And Joe worked really hard, put his best foot forward. It didn't work out. And then Tank, I think D'Amico got asked about him the other day. Tank's doing awesome. He's been in the building every day. Matter of fact, he's here today. He's got a great attitude. We would anticipate him being ready for the start of the offseason program. So he's a great spirits, got a great attitude, good player. So, I'm sure he's excited. He can't wait to get started. Saw him yesterday, and he had a big smile on his face, basically all right, now it's time, now because we're focused on 2026. So just, I'm sure I was going to get asked about him, so I figured I would just, address those couple, I would say, injury, situations. All right. So, go ahead.
Why is there uncertainty regarding his situation, and do you want to bring him back?
Is there as far as what?
Regarding his situation.
Who are we talking about?
Joe Mixon, sorry.
Yeah, we haven't seen Joe in a little bit, so I think at some point we'll see him, and then we'll be able to evaluate kind of where he is, and then based on the information, we'll kind of see what the status is moving forward.
Do you want to bring him, have him back if you can?
Yeah, he's under contract, so we'll evaluate his situation, and then, we'll see where it goes from there.
We spoke with CJ
Go ahead,
the other
Aaron.
day. I think we were talking with him, and he's obviously very contrite about the game. He feels badly. As an organization, what can you do to help him get to where you hope for and what you believe that he can be?
Yeah, I think every player, the offseason is about improvement and what are some of the things that you can do better. CJ had a really good season. He's done a lot of great things, done a lot of great things for his team, a lot of great things for this organization. Anytime that you pass John Elway in terms of, what you've accomplished in a short period of time, talk about Hall of Fame quarterback. So CJ played good football this year. Honestly, it wasn't our best day as a team. When you go back really and look at the game from Sunday, can't turn the ball over. And you look at the divisional round, the teams that turn the ball over, they lost the game. Buffalo turned the ball over, how many times? 4 times. Brock Purdy and the Niners turned it over 3 times. Caleb threw 3 interceptions. So in the end, like the most important, our ball security, I think this is a franchise record for least amount of turnovers. So we've shown that we can take care of the football. We did a poor job of it in the game the other day and ended up costing us. Still an opportunity to win the game despite how poorly we played, which I'd say that game was emblematic of kind of maybe the first 3 games. When you go back and look at those first 3 games of the season, that's what happened. So I think the reality is what can we do better individually, and as a player, you got to look at what are some of the things that you can work on, and what are some of the things that you can do to improve your performance. So again, I think taking care of the football for a quarterback, like you're, and we talked about this. D'Amico and I both talked to all the quarterbacks about, including CJ. Your number one job as a quarterback is to mitigate risk. Period. End of story. Every single play. And if you do that, you're going to give your team a pretty good opportunity to win. If you don't do that, it's probably going to be a little bit harder. I mean, Drake put it on the ground the other day a couple times, but unfortunately we put it on the ground more, and that's why the result was the result.
Over the last 3 seasons, you all have done a lot to build this defense up and finish with the #1 overall defense this year. How can you duplicate that type of success on the offensive side of the ball, and how much of an emphasis will that be in this offseason?
Yeah, we're focused on building a good team. I mean, that's what we do every year. So we got a lot of good players on offense. So, we'll try to put the best team together we can for the 26th season and go out there and try to play, winning football. So in the end, it's not about offense or defense or special teams. It's all 3 phases. Everybody's involved. We got a lot of good players really throughout the building. So in the end, it's about how do you execute with the opportunities that we have on each Sunday or Monday whenever we play. And that's what the focus will be.
Don,
To go back to Joe Mixon for a minute, with what you know now about his situation, would you expect that he'd be able to play next season?
It's honestly hard to answer that right now because we haven't really seen him in a little bit. So at some point we'll see him. We'll probably get a better idea, maybe do some follow-up, examinations and get more information. Once we have more information, I think we'll better be able to make a better assessment, Chrissy.
Reason why you haven't seen him so much? All the other injured players were around the facility?
Actually, that's not correct. We've had some players that were here. We had some players that weren't here. So every player is their own situation. So at some point we'll have an opportunity to visit with all of our players. And before the 26 offseason starts, at some point we'll have an idea where everybody stands. Go ahead, Landry.
Gone from Bobby Slowick last year and went to Nick Caserio. Do you feel validated in that decision? And is Nick Caserio, are you comfortable in saying he's going to be calling plays in 2026?
Yeah, I would anticipate Nick being here next year. I think Nick learned a lot. First opportunity as a play caller. I'd say offensively, probably the last 2 to 3 months of the year, played pretty good football and did a lot of good things. So there was growth and improvement. There's always areas that we can improve and get better. And that's what, D'Amico mentioned the other day. This next couple weeks right after the season was kind of looking at everything, go through, the coaching staff, go through other aspects of the staff. Is there anything that we have to do? All right, then we'll look at some things schematically, start to go through the self-scout, try to figure out, all right, what are some of the things that we did well? It's interesting. D'Amico started this when he got here. So the other side of the ball basically goes through and watches their respective sides. So like the defensive coaches will basically go through and watch the entire offensive season. Offensive coaches will watch the defense. And it's basically just for observations. Hey, through that lens, what do you see? Hey, what are some of the things that we did well? What are some of the things that caused problems? What are some of the things, this, maybe a little bit less of this, whether it's schematically, whether it's personnel-wise. And there's good communication. I think it's a great exercise. We didn't do anything like that in New England, but I think there's some teams that do that. So what we're trying to do is say, hey, we know kind of where we are as a team, and I think sometimes when you're working on one side of the ball, you maybe see it through one lens. Sometimes when you're on the opposite side of the ball, you see it through a different lens. And I'd say the rapport amongst the staff is really good, so we can communicate honestly and openly with each other. So it says a lot, and honestly, it speaks to who D'Amico is. So that's what we're going through right now. So I would anticipate Nick being here, next year, and all of us are just trying to improve and do what we can to make the team and the organization better.
Yeah, Nick, do you think that you guys are doing everything you can in terms of around CJ for his development? Because I know it's with young players, that's a key. It's a key time in their career. Like, are you looking at what can be done differently to help him continue to
Yeah, I mean, look, in the end, we're trying to do what's best for the team. Like, this program's not about one individual, so we're not building a team based on one person, one facet of anything. We're trying to look at the big picture.
I understand that, but I know that's an important part.
Yeah, it doesn't affect, how we look at the team. So what do we need to do to build the best team possible, put the best team together, and then give ourselves the opportunity to compete on a weekly basis, which we've certainly done that. We put ourselves in a good position. In the end, I'd say our shortcomings come down to execution. When you go back and look at the game the other day, can't turn the ball over 5 times. We control that. I'd say the 3 touchdowns that New England scored, we didn't play the coverage or the technique the right way on calls that we've done countless times. So in the end, we've proven that we could do it, but in games of that magnitude, the margins are as small as any, and you either make the plays and do the right thing or you don't. So in the end, and the players know that too, talking to some of the players on Monday, they know it. And when they're articulating it, that's what you want to see and that's what you want to hear, which tells you you're on the right track. So in the end, it's about the team. Let's build a good team. And in the end, get the best 53 guys. And like we talked about it in October, we talked about it before the season, whoever comes in this building, at some point, they're probably going to have to play. So, and that's where we try to build as much depth throughout the roster, because at some point we're going to need everybody. So this program's not about one person. It's not about one individual. It's, can we put the best team out there? Because in the end, the team that wins the Super Bowl is the best team. That's the truth.
The contract extension, was CJ a goal of your front office at all this summer?
Yeah, I'd say contractually, we haven't really talked publicly about anybody's contract. I would say every situation with any player is kind of case by case. So we'll handle business how we handle business. So, everybody's in kind of some different categories. So we kind of take it case by case and kind of deal with, one player at a time.
What about Will Anderson Jr.? He expressed a desire to be here for his entire career on Monday. His body of work, what do you think about Will and just the hope to obviously keep a good football player like that as long as you can?
Yeah, similar answer. We'll kind of take it case by case. Will's a good player. We drafted him because we thought he was a good player, and he's been a good player, and he's improved each year. So, again, there's never a linear path on any of this. So, I'm sure you guys will be calling the agents all the time asking what the hell's going on. But, we'll kind of take it one day at a time and try to figure out, what makes the most sense for the organization.
You said earlier.
Go ahead. Let's go. Yeah, go over here.
From a standpoint of just knowing that you don't have to get a contract extension with them, would you at least consider looking at their 5th-year options to pick up?
Yeah, there's some things just business-wise I'm sure we'll look at and discuss. So that's kind of the off-season is about. So, there's a timing element that's involved in some of that. So we'll kind of work through it here, I'm sure throughout the course of the spring.
I want to clarify something you said earlier.
On the side, you guys, made a lot of moves, made a lot of changes. Some worked, some did it. From your perspective, how do you feel just overall about the personnel changes you made?
Just the first part of the question, I'm sorry.
From an offensive personnel standpoint, you guys made a lot of changes from last offseason to this offseason, or this season. Some worked, some didn't. From your perspective, how would you overall analyze how some of the moves that you made on the offensive line, receiver room, kind of unfolded throughout the season?
Yeah, we feel we got contributions from everybody. Probably the big wholesale change or overhaul, was the offensive line. We talked about that. At different points. We talked about it in October as well, because it kind of coincided with the, the Cam trade and that. But, in going back to the spring, D'Amico and I both felt we would have a pretty competitive group. We felt that it would be improved. In the end, we end up with one player that started who had, I know Titus played multiple positions, but Titus was really the only player. The rest of the offensive line was a number of new players or changing spots. Overall, I'd say that group certainly improved. I think Cole did a phenomenal job with that group, him and Coach Yenzer. And we ended up kind of like we talked about a little bit, using everybody, and eventually it kind of settled down once Tay was able to kind of settle in at left tackle. Tay played really good football. I'd say he made some young football player mistakes, and there's some things technique-wise that he can certainly improve. We felt once Trent got healthy that Trent would go out there and play pretty good football, and he did. I'd say, Jake Andrews gave us a good level of play. He probably played, honestly, hurt. He probably played on one leg for about half the year. It kind of speaks to his toughness. And then Ed, Ed had a good year. He probably had his best year. He's a free agent, kind of have to see how that goes. So, overall, it's certainly improved. There's always things that we can do better, but we got contributions from everybody. Blake had to go out there and start against the Chargers, played pretty good football. I mean, J-Pat, we've always kind of viewed him as a swing guy, kind of inside, sort of that 6th, 7th offensive lineman. That's kind of the role that he had. So we have some players who will be free agents in that group. We have some players under contract for next year. I'm sure there'll be some different players in that group next year, but we also have some guys that, under contract that are coming back. So, looking forward to kind of putting that group together. But, I mean, overall, like, they were improved. I think the pass protection was improved, certainly was improved relative to last season. So there's always a combination of factors involved. There's personnel, it's scheme, there's a lot of different things. It's not one particular thing. But overall, that group played, pretty competitive football, from start to finish.
I wanted to just clarify something you said earlier, because I'm not sure I quite understood. You said you anticipate Nick Caserio coming back. Has that decision been made? Because D'Amico said that he would take the week to decide on
Yeah,
that.
we're working through it right now. D'Amico and I talk every day, so I don't think I'm, speaking out of school here. So, if I am, then, someone will beat my ass, so.
I think with the non-football injury designation, can you disclose what happened to Joe? Is it something that you guys don't want to disclose? Is there a reason why we can't just have what happened?
Yeah, no, I would say he didn't do anything off the field. It wasn't like he was riding like a snowmobile or anything like that. I'd say it was just more of a medical condition or situation that just it really didn't improve maybe as much as everybody would have hoped. I'm not trying to evade the question. I think that's the reality of the situation. So he didn't jump off a building, he wasn't cliff diving or anything like that. He wasn't doing anything irresponsible. It was a freak thing. Honestly, I'd never seen it. Just the condition.
Hope that situation will improve before next summer.
We'll see. Believe me, I'm not smart enough to be a doctor, so I'll leave that up to the medical experts. And once we going back to some of the other questions, we get a little bit more clarity, more information, then we'll kind of see where we are moving forward.
You
Go
talked
ahead.
about Tank
Go ahead.
Dell earlier, and that you anticipate him being ready for offseason. With all of that, you guys have a superb, performance program. Do you have any indication that you expect him to be able to compete at a high level? I know you don't know the answer to all of them, but what do you know about that?
It's a good question, TBD. He's worked very hard. I think our performance group, they do a really good job, and I think the players feel that. So we have the resources available, and each player is a little bit different. So what's required for one player might be different for Tank and his situation. But I would anticipate him being available for the off season, and then really April, May, and June, you probably have a better idea. Once you get on the field, you probably have a better visual representation of what that looks like. And then if you clear that hurdle, then training camp is more of okay, what does this actually look like? So knowing Tank, Tank's probably cautiously optimistic that he's going to be able to go out there and beat Tank Dell. I think everybody's hoping that's the case, but you never know. Injuries are none of us control injuries and kind of what happens. So, but I think everybody's rooting for Tank. He's worked very hard. He's had a great attitude. So excited to kind of see him out there moving around. I think nobody's more excited than he is. So it'd be good once we actually start moving and getting on a field, getting on the grass to see what that looks like.
What goes into your process of evaluating a player and maybe some projection as to what that player can do, and then how that affects, hey, we have the guy in the building, maybe we want to go outside the building. How do you kind of go about that? I don't know, obviously everybody hopes their guy gets better.
Sure.
But do you build in sort of all the different factors of a projection?
Yeah, that's a $100 million question. But no, you have to go off of what you've seen to this point. And I'd say with younger players, there certainly is a projection element. But if they have a body of work that you've seen, then you have to project a certain level of improvement and growth that you hope takes place. It doesn't guarantee anything. So then you look at your team, what the expectation is you think for the role. And as we get into free agency, all right, supply and demand, what's available, what are our options? Do we have an option already in place that's comparable to what else is on the market? Is there an opportunity to upgrade that? The draft is kind of its own entity. I think our philosophy on the draft is just get good football players in here with the right mentality and the right mindset, regardless of the position that they play. That's how we approach it philosophically. That's what D'Amico and I believe in, and that's kind of how we'll go about it. But yeah, you have to take inventory of what do you have, who's played, who's under contract. All right, what does that look like moving forward? I would say, I think we have right now 55, 56-ish players under contract for 26. It doesn't mean all those players are going to be here, But if we had to line up and go play a game tomorrow with those 55, what does that look like? How do we feel about that? I say certain positions, just from a volume standpoint, excuse me, feel pretty good. Other positions, we just don't have a lot of supply. So, all right, where's that supply exist? So where do we go find it? So it's a good question, but that's kind of the balance. And that's kind of what we work through here, understanding even whatever we think it is, and we go to training camp, something changes, something happens, and there's a player that's going to end up on his team in November and December that we're not even thinking about or talking about. That's part of the calculus, like Jamarcus Ingram this year, Damone Clark, like players like that. And I would say those are a little bit more need-based, like, hey, we lost a player, what are our options? You know, in the spring, it's a little bit more of like there's a vast array of people available. All right, free agency is kind of step one. All right, what does that look like? All right, the draft, that's step two. All right, and go from there. I mean, we've got, what, call it 8 picks. I'm sure that number will change, but let's call it 8 draft picks. You know, however many players we have under contract, undrafted free agents. So the players can kind of come from everywhere. So that's kind of how we'll go about it. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit. But
You talked about the
yeah.
you talked about the success that the team has had over the last 3 years, and you all have been able to do that because of some of the contracts that you have right now. But you know, coming up, you're gonna have to this organization gonna have to spend a lot of money to keep some of the talent that it has. At what point do you feel like the window of success is going to start to close?
It's always open in our book. So, I mean, you can build a team in myriad of different ways. So, contracts are contracts. You can fit them however you need to fit them. So, how do you keep good players? What does that look like? There's a little bit of a balance, and, okay, how are they structured? You got to stagger them. I mean, look around the league. I mean, there's plenty of teams that have highly paid players, like 8 to 10 of them. I mean, the Lions, like, they got a good team. They had a down year this year, but, I mean, they got some of the best players in the league. You know, they found a way. So, there's always a way. Like, you got to be creative. You try to think a little bit ahead. I mean, we've sat here, we've talked how we kind of look at the team building in 2-year increments, not like, well, here's the window. It's more of like just the contracts. What do those look like? Okay, some contracts are going to run off, some are going to come on. All right, how do you balance that off? So, I mean, in our book, the window's always open. So we're going to try to put together the most competitive team possible every year. However we do that, you know, we'll fit the contracts, whatever those look like, and, you know, and go from there. So that's kind of how we view it. Again, I can't speak to other teams and their philosophy, but, you know, our goal is to have a good team every year, and, you know, we'll figure out a way. And whoever plays, we don't really care. I mean, look, Tommy Togiai wasn't like a figment of anybody's imagination like 2 years ago. Now he's one of like our best defensive players. So, I mean, he got here in the middle of last year in October on a practice squad. I mean, the guy like played as well as any defensive tackle in the league. So, I mean, there's players out there everywhere. Like, our job is to find them, and the contracts are the contracts. So, I mean, that's kind of its own entity, and, you know, we'll deal with that accordingly.
More difficult, though.
Nick, when you look at the Higgins and Knoll and the development they had this season, what do you like most about that? Where would you like them to step forward next season? Yeah,
I mean, 2 really good players, excited about their future. I mean, I think Higgs showed he's got a chance to be a really good player. You know, he's as productive as any of our, you know, offensive skill players over the last kind of, you know, month or 2 of the season. You know, Jay Knoll, you know, showed what he can do in a return game. Probably gets more opportunities here offensively. But, I mean, 2 good football players. I mean, that receiver room, I mean, if you didn't do anything, which, you know, I'm not saying like we will or won't, but if you didn't do anything, it's a pretty good room. Hig, Knoll, Nico, Hutch. Nobody talks about Hutch, but nobody's improved more from the time he was drafted to where he is now. He's become one of our most dependable players. Talked about Tank here a little bit. I mean, Justin Watson's under contract. I mean, Kirk's a free agent. We'll see how that goes. Barrios is a free agent. But, I mean, it's a pretty good room. So I feel like, you know, we can go out there and play good football with that group. But great kids, great attitude, good teammates, selfless, no ego. Just go out there and work and do their job. And I think Jay Knoll kind of showed his kind of versatility, you know, punt returner, you know, kickoff returner. And when he played offensively, you know, he made a lot of plays. So I'm sure we're going to see more Jay Knoll next year.
James Whitford is up for a request for the Falcons, their GM.
Oh, you said Flip. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
James,
Yep.
what do you think about James and the job he's done, and just him getting that kind of attention?
Yeah, have a lot of respect for James. Known him a long time. Probably known him as long as anybody in this building. We hired him as a scouting assistant coming out. He finished his career at Georgia Tech. Hadn't been involved in scouting. Probably didn't have much of an NFL career ahead of him. He knew that, but he wanted to get involved in football, so we hired him as a scouting assistant. And he's grown. He's done a great job. Great person, great family. Works really hard. Rely on him for a lot. He's earned this opportunity. So credit to him. Whatever the Falcons decide to do, hopefully he's here helping the Texans. But he's fortunate enough to have the opportunity. I'm sure he'll do a good job with it. But I think we're pretty fortunate. We feel like we got a lot of really good people in this building, across departments, scouting, sports performance, coaching. And I think that's D'Amico and I believe in just bringing in good people, teaching them, develop them. Our responsibility to everybody in the building and our role is to try to help them as much as possible and let them grow, because that's our kind of fiduciary responsibility to each other. So, but happy for James. We got some other folks that I think are going to get some opportunities, some different looks. That's what this time of the year is about. You guys look around the league. The amount of movement that takes place is, it's mind-numbing, honestly. But everybody gets an opportunity. We all got an opportunity. You all got an opportunity in this room. I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity back in the day, and then it's really what you do with it. So, happy for James, and we'll kind of see how it goes.
Nick, do you feel like you all did enough from a personnel-wise to help the offense grow in the way it needed to grow, or do you think probably some of the unexpected injuries, like Joe Mixon's injury, probably stalled that?
I'm not really sure of the question. I'd say we had one of the best teams in the league. So, we went out there and competed with every team in the league that we played. So, I'm not sure what the question is.
I can specify. The offense, according to their statistics, didn't take a huge jump offensively. And I'm wondering.
The most important statistic is winning games. So that's what we're focused on.
100%, but you lost in the divisional round again. You ultimately want to get farther. Do you feel like you could have done more to get to that point? Or were there circumstances that you felt were out of control?
We had a good enough team to win any game we played. In the end, we didn't execute well enough. You can't turn the ball over 5 times in a divisional playoff round. Taking care of the football is the single most important stat correlated to winning. Look it up. It's the truth. If you don't turn the ball over, you enhance your chances of winning. It's 85, 90%. So that's the most important stat. Turnovers, taking care of the football, look around the league. So in the end, we had a good enough team to beat anybody. We played with every team in the league. There's more room in front of us. And in the end, if we execute better, we'll still be playing. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but that's the truth.
Sarge talking about the contracts. When a quarterback's on his rookie deal, we talk about it's probably easier to put a team around him. How critical is next year, not just for CJ to prove that he can be that guy, but for the organization to believe that he can be that guy and not turn the ball over in the divisional round?
Every year you kind of start from scratch. And everybody is focused on individual improvement. So CJ's played a lot of good football, won a lot of games, done a lot of great things for this organization. And I think all of us are excited about the opportunity in front of us for the 26 season. It's a year-to-year league. That's where we're focused. So we're focused on the 2026 season, trying to put the best team together, and hopefully put ourselves into a position that we can go out there and play pretty good football and win a bunch of games. So that's what that's where our focus is.
From a standpoint,
Maybe 2 more.
from you look at Brevin Jordan a few years ago, you signed him to an extension. That way you could get him in a medical redshirt year, basically, when he was going through an injury. Tank could be up for an extension next year. Is that something that could be in the works, just to have him for 1 year, to where he missed the season, but you have him for 4 years?
Yeah, again, it's kind of case by case. So you kind of look at everything and try to figure out, all right, what makes the most sense for the organization. The players are part of it, but it's kind of like piece of the puzzle. You got all these puzzle pieces. How do you fit them all together? Going back to kind of Sarge's earlier question. So we'll look at everything and just try to figure out, how do we line the deck chairs? And then will we be prepared? I think the one thing that we've shown is our ability to kind of pivot and adjust and kind of handle and adapt. I think that's one of the hallmarks of this organization. D'Amico and I, philosophically, that's how we view things. So you never get too caught up in doing one thing a particular way. I think the more you're open-minded and kind of maintain some level of flexibility, it just gives you more optionality. So again, we'll look at everything, and it's always case by case, and ultimately we'll feel what we do, makes the most sense by everybody involved.
With that investment in Joe plus Stephon, do you think, I guess, it was more bad break with what you got from that investment? And are there any lessons, I guess, you take moving forward from that?
Look, good players helped our team. I'd say, and I've said this, every decision, every player you bring in maybe doesn't go the way that you think or hope it's going to go. Some of it's in your control, some of it's not. So all we can do is look at it, okay, deal with the reality, and just press forward. So try not to get too caught up in one particular thing. I think D'Amico and I kind of look at things that way. So that's probably why we get along so well.
How do you think CJ handled all the hurdles this year? Slow start, his own concussion, the postseason.
Yeah, I think, and he said this. I mean, it was hard, and I think anytime that you deal with difficult situations, adversity, it's just, in the end, you're the only one that can handle it and respond to it. And, our job as an organization is to support our players and give them the resources that they need and feel like they have a good environment to come to work. Look, I'd say players that come in this building love being here. They know what we're about. They know what D'Amico's about. They know what I'm about. So, I mean, in the end, we're just trying to win football games with the right people and, understand this league's hard. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, we're all going to have to deal with stuff. It's not easy, but, honestly, that's where you kind of get the joy, at least I do, is just in the fight, and just nothing's easy. Everything's earned. So, I mean, that's the beauty of everybody's got the same opportunity. I mean, all 32 teams, whenever Super Bowl's played, going to have the same opportunity. I think our division, is become a really competitive division. I mean, I think, I've said this, Jacksonville, I think, has done an awesome job. I mean, Tony, James, Liam did a great job this year. They showed it. I mean, I think Tennessee is going to be much improved. I think Coach Sal's a hell of a coach. Coach Steichen and the Colts, I mean, they've shown year in and year out they can compete with anybody. So, I mean, we're going to have a work cut out for us in the division, but that's why this league, when you go 1 through 32, the gap between 1 and 32, it's not as big as the numbers suggest. So, I mean, all of us, you got to embrace it. You got to embrace it, and it's okay to fail, but, you got to pick yourself back up and, try to come up with some answers and solutions. So that's how we approach it.
About execution, how that's kind of the key, right?
Yep.
As it terms with everything. How do you help, you collectively? Because we've heard that word a lot. Is that all the players? How do you get to where the execution is consistent?
Yeah, it's just making sure, and I think we do, because, again, we turn the ball over, least amount in franchise history. So it's just every detail, every practice, every day, every meeting, it's all important. So, and I think as a player, in the end, it's a player's game, right? And the players take ownership, and you just have to have a heightened awareness that any little small thing, like playing a wrong technique, okay, your leverage on this play is supposed to be inside leverage. Okay, you've done it 90 times. Why the 91st time do you play with the wrong leverage, right? It's just this league is about discipline, it's about consistency, and it's about doing it every single snap, every single play. And I would say our responsibility is to make sure that we bring the players in that, A, understand it, B, have the mental fortitude to do it, because it's not easy, going back to the earlier question. It's not easy, but it takes work, and it takes communication, and that's, in the end, what makes a team good. So everybody's got good players. Those, I would say, small details, those finer things, those are the things, if you do them right, I mean, look, there's a reason we won 10 games over 3 months or whatever it was, because we were doing more of those things. When there's gaps against good teams, the margins are smaller. So we're trying to make the improvements on the margins and just make sure, every single day. And again, we'll probably be playing 400 games here at some point. So it's got a long season. Every week matters. Every practice matters. Every meeting matters. Every walkthrough matters. And D'Amico talks to the team about this all the time. And I'd say the majority of the time we do a really damn good job of that, right? But when there's gaps, then you got to go back and look and say, all right, did I really do what I was supposed to do? Or did I kind of, and in the end, that's player accountability and ownership.
When you're assessing a player, how do you reconcile body of work, maybe success from a couple of years ago versus now? Does recent performance matter more than some of the previous performances?
Yeah, you got to be careful of taking just a snapshot of here's what it is. You got to look at the entire body of work. Which I would say, because this actually get into the draft a little bit. Okay, look at players' body of work. Players started 45, 50 games. You're looking at their body of work as opposed to, they did this in this game. They did this in that game. Okay, over the totality of it, what does it look like? and then you got to be able to say, here's what we think it's going to be, right? And with NFL players, some players have more body of work than others, right? So you're looking at the whole body of work, and if they've shown the ability to do things at a certain level, then it means it's in there, right? And then it's like, all right, what else can you do? And every year, you're starting from scratch, right? So I think each player looks at it and, hey, I'm going to focus on this is off-season, whatever your list is, right? And we're going to have kind of a checklist for the players when they come in the building. Hey, these 3 or 4 things, here's what we're looking for relative to improvement. And then you can look at the end of the year. All right, did they improve that? Did they not? So it's ongoing. It's very fluid. So, again, you have to look at everything. You just can't look at one particular play, one particular game, one particular situation.
Nick, can you talk about the
Hammer
job
down
that?
on what he just
Go ahead,
said.
Sarge. Go ahead, Sarge.
I was gonna say, can you just talk about the job that D'Amico did this year, overcoming that 0-3 start, and even at a point it was 3-5, but to be able to coach this team into another divisional round game.
Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, like, he was incredible. I mean, I would say his just consistency, how steadfast he was, and being able to get the issues fixed and addressed, and honestly, not really losing sleep or losing his mind. Here's what I would say, too. D'Amico is one of the best human beings I've ever been around in my life. He's also one of the most competitive individuals that I've been around, and which is why I think, like, we resonate with one another, because I think we're both, like, very competitive. I think he's so genuine, so sincere. He treats everybody the right way. I'm fortunate to be around him on a day-to-day basis. I think the way he handled the team was incredible. I think he did as good of a coaching job as any coach in the league this year. I mean, he's not going to win Coach of the Year, but, I mean, you can make a very cogent argument that he should be the Coach of the Year based on what we did with this team from where we started to how we finished. And everything starts with leadership. Everything starts with the head coach. And I think he's grown. I mean, you can ask him, but he's grown from the time that he started till now. He obviously the play calling, pass that off to Coach Burke. I mean, there's no ego with him at all. Like, he just wants what's best for the team and what's best for this organization. Period. End of story. And I can't say enough great things about him, the job that he's done. Grateful for the opportunity to work with him on a day-to-day basis, and looking forward to working with him on building the 26 team.
We got Jonathan, Sam, Louise.
That's like 6 last questions. Go ahead.
This may be where Cody was going, but obviously CJ Stroud had an improved year up into that last couple of games. You don't take, and this is me going on your answer, you don't take just what happened in the biggest games and use that into how you might approach, negotiations, extensions later on down the line, or that's all a part of it.
Yeah, look, if we want to go game by game, like, we don't win the Kansas City game without C.J. Stroud. I mean, so, again, like, that's one game, all right? Look, he'll be the first to tell you, he didn't play well on Sunday, all right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you he played well either. Like, he knows that. So, in the end, all right, got to learn from it. What can we do better? All right, and then we're moving forward, all right? I mean, so you look at his body of work. This guy's been a damn good quarterback in this league for 3 years. I mean, it's the truth. So, again, you wanted to look at everything in totality, and then every player will look at their situation, and it's always case by case. So,
with the tight end position, I was wondering if you had updates on how Dalton and Gate are doing from Saturday, and also kind of how you evaluate that position moving forward with Dalton going into his last year. Some other guys.
yeah, both of those guys. I mean, Dalton's going to be okay. I mean, it was kind of a calf. I mean, I don't think it's anything major. Cade, I think he avoided serious injury. Think he's going to be okay. So, I mean, probably going to be ready for the offseason programs. Probably not as bad as it looked. It looked pretty bad, right? Think he's going to be okay. Overall, we got pretty good production from that group. I mean, Dalton had a really good season. I mean, he broke the franchise record for career receptions by a tight end. I mean, the guy, his record he broke was a damn good player. Like, you guys know him very well. I mean, we played against OD multiple times when I was in New England. So, I mean, Dalton had a really good year. He was healthy. He, quite frankly, wasn't healthy last year. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to make an excuse, but got really good production from them. I think we were planning on Brevin kind of being a big part of it. Unfortunately, like, he went down there a little bit. But, Cade kind of showed his versatility. Harrison, he was able to kind of give us some snaps there a little bit. So overall, it's a pretty solid group. So, I mean, if there's an opportunity for us to improve it, we'll certainly look at it, relative to what our options are. But overall, it's a good group, works hard, very professional. Dalton had a really good year and, very dependable, very instinctive, very smart player.
Okay, the actual last question.
To kind of follow up on Kim's and Jonathan's question about the execution and vision around, we know players got to execute a little bit better, but what can you guys do a little bit better to, I guess, add more, so you guys just have more overall firepower in the round? Because so far, since Nico and you've been here, the division round, you guys have averaged roughly 11 points on offense, and that's just obviously not enough to win in those rounds. So what can you guys do to improve just the overall talent that is on offense to win in those rounds?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is the same. Try to put together a good team and get players in the building that we can go out there and play winning football with. It's a combination of things. Make sure we got enough players. We're doing some things schematically, or there's some things that have popped up in those games. So, again, you look at those games. You look at other games as well. You look around the league. What are some teams doing? What are some things you might be able to incorporate? So, again, I mean, offense has really never been D'Amico and I have never sat in our office and said, like, well, our offense is a concern. Like, what do we got to do? Like, got to play better. There's some things that we can do better. So try to build a good team, try to get good players in here with the right mentality and the right mindset. I mean, I guess Nico Collins isn't a good enough player. So, I mean, maybe we can find a player better than Nico Collins. I don't know. So we'll try to do the best we can, try to bring good players in this building, and try to put together a good team that gives us a chance to compete, on each Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.